Hi, this is Savannah,
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show,
and you're listening to Star Wars.
the best place for below average Star Wars.
The Dorky Diva Show presents
Why is this seat so much more comfortable?
the long-awaited sequel to the adventures of the Zolan Dart audio drama.
Have you seen the captain's datapad?
Trying to work, Murph.
Piloting the Zolan Dart by himself,
You do understand the details of this particular job, correct?
I've been on plenty of jobs like this. With you!
Reldar Sias returns to a planet he thought he'd left behind for good.
Is there a reason you didn't mention I was tagging along?
Hopefully having you there will make others think twice about messing with me.
Making new friends
Oh, you must be the pilot of the Zolan Dart, yes?
I guess I am.
and reconnecting with old ones,
Reldar?
Vera?
What are you doing here?
until past grudges resurface.
I'd be minding my own business if I were you.
Well, if your business wasn't being handled right in front of my face, maybe I could mind my own business. We have to leave. Now.
Why the rush all of a sudden?
We're in trouble.
If it isn't little Reldar Sias.
Hey, Yorick. Long time no see.
Roz already knows you're here.
Oh,
Look who decided to come home.
Reldar must confront his origin,
I must admit, I never saw this as being a part of your past, Softshell.
or let it define his future.
I will get what is owed to me, no matter the cost.
because what Roz is trying to do is wrong.
Says you.
My blasters, we're going to need these. Take that, Sleemo!
Who do you think you are?
The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, Episode 2, coming soon.
Welcome to Star Wars, best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I am the Geordie Jedi Pete,
And I am Jason Hondo Ling.
and we are back with a brand new episode of Star Wars. We've got some awesome Star Wars news to talk about, and also there was a fantastic event this weekend. The event was called Farthest From. Jason, you were there this weekend. I think we'll just dive in and just talk all about it. How was your Saturday at Farthest From? Maybe give us a bit of background about the event and then tell us about such a good time you had there.
Yeah, well, Farthest From's an event that I've seen going on in the background, and for me, it's quite close in Fordingbridge. And I just decided this weekend I had my two girls. We wanted to have a bit of Star Wars fun. And as it was their family fun day, we pop along. One of the bonuses was that the main guest there was Pablo Hidalgo from Lucasfilm, who was obviously there signing copies of his latest book, which the name is escaping me, and I've gone and bought the copy because I was pleased enough to get it signed for. That's right, it was Star Wars Dawn of the Rebellion, the visual guide, and it's also co-authored by Emily. Oh, of course, but I've got to pronounce this right. Have you seen this now? It's Shukarani, I think, but I will apologise in advance. But yeah, it was a great show with plenty of the guys trooping. We had the Rebel Legion, UK Garrison, Mandalorian Mercs, and Joker Squad there. And also another guest was Barry. Is it Gingell? I'm getting worse at pronouncing names, so I will apologise. But all in all, yeah, it was a really, really fun event. And at the same time, whilst we were there, Pablo was inducted into the Rebel Legion by Mark Mulcaster. So that was really fun. I've witnessed a few inductions. It was nice to witness that. And although Pablo wasn't doing interviews, I did manage to quickly have a chat with him afterwards and just say to him, you've obviously done a few of these. And I said, they must be quite special for you. And he said, yeah, it's obviously a lot more special when it's somewhere like this where, and as he jokingly said, it was farther from to travel to, because obviously he doesn't come over to the UK very often. So yeah, that was really fun. All for the Saturday part of the event. They do 2 days. The Sunday event is Toy Collectors Fair. The Saturday part of the event was a family fun day, and what they put on was a series of different games and things that you could go around. You could pay 50p to have a go on the games, and for points that you earned on the games, you then got a stamp. And then once you got so many stamps, you could go to the prize table and claim a prize, which was all sorts of Star Wars goodies. So yeah, it was really fun doing that. It kept my kids entertained. And I think probably their favourite one was the Carcoon Capers, where you had some miniature banthas that were battery operated, and you then had a Carcoon pit, and you basically had 60 seconds for your bantha to go around the outside of this pit, and it was to see if you could keep your bantha out of the pit. And luckily, my two girls were really pleased because their two banthas, although one nearly went in the pit, didn't go in the pit, so they earned their stamps. So all in all, it was a really fun sort of day to pop along to. And I know in the evening they also had a lovely sort of group get together and meal that you could pay to go to. And obviously, I believe Pablo was guest of honor there. So I think that was a popular thing with a lot of the costuming groups and everything. So, and obviously Mark Newbold and the guys from Fanf Tracks, who obviously Pete's interviewed on here before, were all there helping take part. But overall, it was a really fun family event, organised by Dave Tree and the guys at Really Cool Stuff. So yeah, it was well worth popping to if you were in the area.
Yeah, obviously I'd seen like on social media that the event was happening, but obviously with it being far away from me, I was a bit sort of none the wiser of the actual logistics of it. But obviously seeing your pictures and hearing about your day, I was really excited for you. Obviously, the games sound really fun. Obviously, being able to earn some points and claim some Star Wars booty is always fun. For children of all ages, I imagine, and some adults as well, I can imagine. I think obviously the fact that Pablo Hidalgo's there, who's one of the he's part of the Lucasfilm story group. He's one of the creative executives at Lucasfilm. It's quite a big get, and as you said, doesn't come to the UK often. Obviously, that book you've mentioned is really, really. I don't have the book, but I love reading the visual guides. Pablo does all the visual guides, so I've got the visual guide from each one of the sequel movies, and also from Rogue One and from Solo. But this one, it looks like, which is Dawn of the Rebellion. Did you say, Jason?
Yeah, that's right.
Dawn of the Rebellion. So I take it that covers like the television shows that have come out sort of in the build up to sort of the original trilogy.
Exactly.
Kenobi and Andor.
Yeah. So obviously that's the main focus of these. So we get quite a few little. I've only had chance to really glance through the book, but it's as you say, the visual guides are great. And this book in particular, you got some really great images. And I was really pleased to get my one signed, and the image that Pablo signed was of Obi-Wan and Leia in the it was the episode where they were sort of just almost caught by the Imperial. Well, they were caught by the Imperials, who then promptly rescued them. So it was that photograph of them on the dusty track, and he signed it, and he had quite a grin on his face when I asked him to sign it, or to make it out to Hondo, which I was pleased later on to go through the book and find that Hondo is in fact in the book, so that was even better. But yeah, it's a beautiful image, and yeah, he signed it, and he also drew a nice little TIE fighter up in the corner for me. So that's what makes it, I think. And some of the I like collecting the books, and they're something like this. It's part of Star Wars history with all the different information and that, and it's just fun. So to get it signed as well was a bonus point.
Definitely. I think just to give a summary of how good these books are, I think there'll be little things in the background that you've seen before. It'll give you a brief history. So in the Last Jedi one, for example, I think there's a compass in Luke's house in his stone hut on the island of Actu, and the compass is from Battlefront 2, where you acquire the compass when you play Luke Skywalker, and it hints at it there. And then obviously in the Force Awakens book, it hints at, obviously we know Kylo's lightsaber pulsates, but we didn't know why. But then in the book, it tells you that the Kyber crystal's cracked, and that's why it's the blades pulsing and not stable. So little things like that are the things you get from these books. So I'm very excited to finally have one that's going to have the Kenobi series in there, have Andor in there, tie into some Rebels, tie into the original trilogy. So the book's definitely on my list of things to get. But obviously the fact you've been able to get it signed by the man himself, Mr. Pablo Hidalgo, is really, really cool. And the picture of you and your family with Pablo as well was really nice. So looks like you had a fantastic day, mate.
Yeah, no, and this is something that I feel quite passionate about. There's lots of these events, and I try to support any that I can get to, because putting on these sort of events are great fun for the family, but also it gets the chance for someone like Pablo to come over and meet the fans is great as well. So all in all, if I can find any more like this, I'll be more than happy. But also the other guys that were there doing different things and helping to organise it. Something like this takes a bit of organisation, whether it's big or small. So hats off to all of them.
Yep, definitely. I'm glad you had such a good time there. Obviously, so we know you bought the book and you got it signed. Any other Star Wars purchases made from any of the merch tables that were there?
Yeah, I had, as I've talked about on here several times before, I've started collecting the Jazzwares Micro Galaxy Squadron, and I spotted Yoda's Starfighter, which was one I'd been eyeing up for a while, and I got it as a naughty little price, so I was quite happy with that. And obviously the kids with their little prizes, I think they each got a key ring and a rubber and stuff like that. But there was plenty of merchandise, and there was some really cool figures for sale there that yeah, if I sold a few body parts, I might have been able to afford a few little treats.
A little black market deal, trade your liver for some good Star Wars.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Obviously, moving on from that event, obviously, we're talking about a book there. Lucasfilm has announced a new novel that is coming out. So it's a Mace Windu novel. It's called The Glass Abyss. It's written by Stephen Barnes. So obviously, this book's a return to Star Wars from Stephen Barnes. Previously, he was the writer of the Legends classic, The Seedless Deception. And yeah, obviously, the new novel comes out on August 6th. Obviously, it's set after the death of Qui-Gon at the hands of Darth Maul, and it's a saddened Mace Windu finds himself thrust into an adventure upon receiving a posthumous message from Qui-Gon Jinn. And I think it's going to dive into a bit of Mace Windu's respect and maybe some of the challenges him and Qui-Gon had in their relationship together. And then also about how this request that Qui-Gon sent him after he's passed away and how Windu's going to deal with not just the death of Qui-Gon Jinn, but also sort of the galaxy that is left after it with the return of the Sith. So we will see. I don't know if you've seen we'll talk about the cover first. So they've released a cover image. So as usual, these images can be subject to change, but it's essentially Mace Windu in the middle, and he's like got his lightsaber swiped behind him, and so on the left hand side it's like swiped up, creating one half of the Jedi logo of the Jedi emblem, and then on the right hand side the Jedi emblem's made up of his cloak, as if he's like been in full movement. So it's pretty awesome synergy. I don't know if you've seen the imagery, Jason.
Yeah, I'm actually getting it up in front of me as we speak because I looked at it briefly. As I say, I've had a hectic weekend, but it is awesome. It's very Mace Windu. Obviously, Mace and the color purple are ingrained together, and the synergy of it absolutely beautiful. Really, it's quite an understated piece of artwork in some ways when you look at it, but at the same time it's very forceful. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it and looking at the description of what the story is. I think we all want to hear more about Mace, and also obviously Qui-Gon is such a respected character, even though he had so little screen time in comparison to some. Yeah, I think this could be quite a fun and interesting novel. So I'm looking forward to when it comes out.
Yeah, I think I am as well. I think the recent sort of incarnations of Mace Windu we've seen, from the Clone Wars final season, we've seen sort of Mace Windu, maybe be a bit less likable, especially towards the end of the Clone Wars. And then, we obviously had him and Count Dooku working together in Tales of the Jedi, so we've seen him there. So this looks like we're going to maybe see a more human side of Mace, and maybe a bit more of a Mace Windu with his guard down, a bit more likable Mace Windu, a bit more relatable Mace Windu, which is going to be cool to learn about. There's an official description at StarWars.com if anyone wants to go and read a bit more about it, and it's available for pre-order now, both in the US and in the UK on Amazon. So I imagine your local bookstores will have it up as well, which is pretty cool. That's definitely one I am going to get. So that is Star Wars Mace Windu, The Glass Abyss by Stephen Barnes, coming soon. Another bit of news we've had is Ethan Hawke's been talking about how much he wants to be in Star Wars. He has done it before, and obviously, so him being open about it hasn't got him in there yet. I don't know what your thoughts are on Ethan Hawke or Jason, and how excited you would be to maybe have him in a Star Wars show.
Yeah, Ethan's quite an interesting character, or quite an interesting actor. Obviously, I've seen quite a few bits, and obviously he played a huge part in the Moon Knight series, which I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed him playing the villain. So I actually quite like the idea of him possibly playing a villain, or some sort of character. There's so many actors that we hear would love to be in Star Wars, and every so often you get the likes of Samuel L. Jackson where it becomes a reality. So, who knows? If he keeps pounding the message enough, there could be a chance that the casting team will come calling.
Yeah, I think for me, Ethan Hawke's someone that I've watched since I was an early teenager, and like Training Day, movies like that. And then obviously now he's had a huge resurgence. I just think of him in The Black Phone, for example, which was a horror that came out not so long ago that he was in. He played the bad guy in that fantastically. I think one of my favorite TED Talks is by Ethan Hawke, where he talks about creativity and don't be afraid to be the fool, essentially is what he's saying in that. And it's one of my favorite TED Talks by Ethan Hawke. And I think, for me, he's an actor who's, as he's aged, like he really has evolved and I think he's at the height of his prowess right now, and he could be an old Jedi Master, a wise Jedi Master. He could be some sort of evil Sith priest. Sorry, he could be, you know, an old chiseled bounty hunter. I think he's got the chops to pull any role off, really, whether it be like a force wielder or just a scumbag. Do you know what I mean? He could be a general in the Navy. Do you know what I mean? Whether that be Imperial or Rebellion. So yeah, I would love to see Ethan Hawke in Star Wars. I think Ethan Hawke's absolutely fantastic. And like I said, I'm a big fan of his. Like I said, if anybody hasn't watched his TED Talk, you should Google Ethan Hawke TED Talk. And like I said, it's about creativity and not being afraid to be the fool when you're chasing creating things, whether it be poetry, songs, creating a character, acting it out, singing, painting, drawing, whatever it is that you're doing. Like, you know, if you're not afraid of being deemed foolish, like that's how you're going to create these awesome things that we have. Just out of curiosity, before we wrap up this one, you're casting Ethan Hawke, right? You're the casting director. What role are you going to give him?
I'd actually, I'd probably give him. I'd want him to do a more dubious character that you don't know whether he's good or bad. So I think he's got the acting ability that he could pull off the sort of character, almost a bit like Stellan Skarsgård is in Andor. You know, to me that character is multifaceted, and I think Ethan will be good at that. So I'd almost like to see him as a Jedi that you're wondering if he is actually heading towards the Sith, and I think he could bring quite a lot of power to that sort of role.
He certainly would. I totally agree with you there. Next up, obviously, Disney Plus has started, they're sharing some information about what's coming out over Christmas time in December, sort of the season's listings, and then also they've started listing some shows we're going to expect next year. They've listed 2 Star Wars shows in some of the marketing, so that the 2 Star Wars shows are Skeleton Crew and Acolyte. So it looks like they've nailed on for coming out next year, which is fantastic. I've seen some chatter saying, "Oh, we're only getting 2 now because they've only said 2." It's a bit like they're not going to put the whole year's listings out like now, if that makes sense, in my opinion. Anyway, I think they've listed the 2 that are definitely going to be coming, and then they'll probably list some more down the line. I think we're definitely getting Bad Batch season 3 in 2024, so that'll be the 3rd Star Wars show, and I think we're probably getting Andor as well, depending on how fast production can go now the strikes are over. I don't know what your thoughts were when you saw only 2 announced, and whether you were worried about it, Jason, or whether you were just thinking, nah, let's just go with the flow here.
I took it with a pinch of salt. Obviously pleased to see that they've announced 2 at least, so we know that we're getting something. But like yourself, I think that because there's been so much upheaval with the strikes and everything, I think they're still doing a bit of a regroup and assessing. You know, there's so many rumours flying around at the moment that I think that's where it stems from. Obviously, Bad Batch, I was expecting to turn up. I was almost hoping that it could possibly, and I think I've possibly said on here, I was hoping they could release that before the end of the year as a bit of a surprise for us, because obviously animation, they'd gone a long way with that. But obviously that might not happen, and there's rumours I'm seeing that Bad Batch is going to be towards the end of next year, which, as long as, for me, I want them to get Bad Batch right, because it's going to be the final season. I know it's sort of, some people have took it, some haven't took to it quite as much as they did with Clone Wars and Rebels. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I want to see it. I'd like to see a lot more of it. So I was sad to hear that the 3rd season was going to be the last season. But there's still a lot of Star Wars, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the animated stuff later on, because I'm pretty sure that they're not going to stop at Bad Batch with the animated. Obviously, we've got the Young Jedi Adventures that has been out now on Disney Plus. Pete and I know have spoken about it. I've started watching that, and yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, that's the animation took to a different style and standard, and also to a very different era in Star Wars time. So yeah, I don't think we've got a lot to worry about. There's lots of rumours about filming, and what's going on with the films. And I think with Dave Filoni taking on the role that he's now took on, I think there's probably a lot going on in the background that we won't be hearing about for a little while, where they're sort of regrouping and getting the plan sorted out for it. Obviously one of the issues I think that could have it's probably caused them to reassess what they're doing is the loss of Ray or Balon Skull. That's something that I think because they did such a brilliant job with him, that's obviously going to cause them a little bit of replanning and a little bit of rejigging. But these things happen. It's happened in Star Wars before, and I just go with the flow with what they've got coming. As long as they keep bringing it out, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think for me, it's great to have Skeleton Crew confirmed for 2024 and Acolyte confirmed for 2024. So at Star Wars Celebration, I saw some of the footage, some of the promotional material for Acolyte. So that was obviously, that production was, heavily going. I haven't seen anything from Skeleton Crew. Obviously, we know it's sort of a young crew being sort of led around the galaxy by Jude Law's character. I don't know what type of character that's going to be. But it's great to see these two confirmed. I think the other shows that we were expecting in 2024, I suppose, before the strikes, was Mandalorian Season 4 and Andor Season 2. Now we know that Andor Season 2 was heavily in production again before the strikes, so that will have to start up again. And with the Mandalorian, I imagine it was in the script writing process for Mandalorian Season 4. So I think we'll get Skeleton Crew, we'll get Acolyte, as they've said. I think we'll get Bad Batch Season 3 as an animated show. And I think we'll still get Andor Season 2. And then I think if we are lucky, we'll get Mandalorian Season 4 at the beginning of 2025, I think maybe. That's just me guessing. But they were the shows that were in play to sort of be there or thereabouts for next year in 2024. But obviously the strikes have just made it a little bit more touch and go, I suppose, on some of them. Moving on from that, obviously movie-wise, there has been rumours flying around. So big news topic this week was sort of the first. Obviously, there's 3 movies announced at Star Wars Celebration in April of this year. So obviously one was Dave Filoni's Mandoverse movie, which is probably going to be here at the Empire and tie up all sort of those TV shows together into one big storyline finale. There was obviously James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie, which was announced, which obviously Mangold's just come off Indiana Jones wasn't out yet at the time, so he was still promoting that, so I'd imagine that's still in the script phase. And then the other movie was a continuation of Daisy Ridley's character Rey Skywalker, Rey Palpatine. And that's going to be a sequel that follows the events of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Obviously follows on from the sequel trilogy. It'll focus on Rey as she builds the new Jedi Order. Now, the film's reported to be written by Justin Britt Gibson and Damon Lindelof. Although I've heard maybe Damon Lindelof might have left the project, but I mean, if he's wrote something, that might still remain. And obviously directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. And it's expected to be shot at Pinewood Studios, obviously just outside London. And rumours are flying around that it's going to start production on April 7th, 2024. So it was announced in April this year, 2023. Then shooting could start as early as April 2024, which it means we could get that movie in 2026 if that's the case. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's just sort of rumours right now. So it's the rumours stem from sort of production updates from the Film and Television Industry Alliance. Is sort of where that's come from. So obviously people booking studios, things like that, setting things up maybe is where the rumblings have come from. Could it start shooting April 7th? I think it could, depending on how tight that script is and depending on how tight it was to the vision that they want. what I would like to think is that with Dave Filoni in his new role as Chief Creative Officer, that whatever script is there would have gone through him now and then given the green light if that's the case. And then I don't see why you couldn't start looking to begin production. My only worry is that we haven't heard any casting news apart from Ray, so I feel that like casting would have been, it's 4 months away. Like I think we would have seen some casting by now if it was that soon. But I mean, you never know. We could get casting next week. We could get casting in January. Do you know what I mean? So I think the longer it goes without us getting casting information, without us having sort of final written rule on who the actual script's by, then the longer the shot it comes of it being shot in April. But if news like that starts breaking in the new year pretty early, then yeah, man, who's to say that we don't get Star Wars starting to be filmed in April of 2024? And then, like I said, you could be out late 2025 or possibly early the next year. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, and if you're excited for the movie, Jason.
Yeah, it's something that I'm excited for any film with Star Wars, and as I've said previously several times with Dave in his petition, I'm a lot more confident that there's a more structured sort of approach coming to it. My I'm dubious. I've seen other rumours that this date isn't accurate because of obviously the scripting stage and, like you say, with the casting. But then again, they've kept the casting very quiet on Skeleton Crew. They're taking the same sort of approach as they have with that, trying to keep as much under wraps. They've given us the notice that they're going to continue Ray's story. They don't want to spoil the direction that it's going in. So that could be a possibility. It's one of those things until it's confirmed by Lucasfilm that I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. I would love to see them get it going, get it out for 2026, because I think we're we're desperate for a Star Wars film now. The television series are absolutely brilliant, and I'm loving them. But I really want to get back into the cinema and watch a proper Star Wars film. So my fingers are crossed, and I just hope that my gut isn't right.
We will see. Time will tell. Time will tell. I think I just want to highlight. So our last episode that came out before this one was an interview with Fred Kennedy, who writes comics for Image Comics. His big one at the minute is Dead Romans. Also works in media production, and he produces his own Star Wars radio play or audio drama. And Star Wars has been linked with audio dramas in the past. We were very much excited for the Dorky Diva show's very own Star Wars audio drama, The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, which is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't listened to that, go listen to that. But this one's slightly different. It runs over its second season's coming to an end, so it's like episodic, rather than one whole adventure in one listen. Fred's created this audio drama called Mud 79. So if you want to listen to a Star Wars audio drama based around the Mud Troopers of the beginning of the Empire, post the Clone Wars, then check it out. You can just search Mud 79 and it comes up wherever you get podcasts. But if you want to listen to Fred speaking in depth about why he created an audio play, why Star Wars, why the Troopers, why the Empire, why the era it's set in, we had a really, really good conversation, so definitely check that out. And on this episode, you'll hear the trailer for Mud 79 as well, so you can get a bit of a listen for that. Jason, are you big on Star Wars audio dramas, audio plays?
It's something I dip in and out of, and I have to admit, I'm gonna have obviously the Zolan Dart I listened to and thoroughly enjoyed. And I know when we met up with Savannah and Brian, we chatted with them quite in depth about their plans for the second one, which I can't wait to hear when that comes out. So now that again, it's you found this one, so I'm going to have to listen to it now. Likewise, I haven't managed to listen to your interview yet, so I've got to listen to that this weekend or tonight, hopefully. So I'm quite looking forward to dipping into it. I recently listened to the audio book of Ahsoka. Not Ahsoka, yeah, the Ahsoka novel. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think partly because it was narrated by Ashley, um, and also the few that they did with obviously I think it was Cameron Scott did was it the Count Dooku? Was it Dooku?
Yeah, Dooku.
They did that more. That was done as an audio play, which I again thoroughly enjoyed. So yeah, something when I find these things, I normally listen to them, thoroughly enjoy them. So thanks for finding this one for me, Pete.
Yeah, and there's plenty of content. I looks like you've got a full season one to listen to, and then you've got season 2 coming. Well, it's got about 4 episodes left, I think, season 2. So yeah, definitely check out. Like I said, definitely check out Fred Kennedy's comics over at Image. Like I said, Dead Romans out now, and then obviously from what I've heard of Mud 79, it's really, really awesome. So definitely check it out. I think that brings an end to sort of the news topics we wanted to discuss this week. Obviously, the strike's been over. The news is just starting to ramp up a little bit now, so we're getting a few topics this week, which is good. Good sort of bite-sized conversations about. Is there anything else Star Wars you want to chat about, Jason?
No, I think obviously I'm quite interested to hear from people what they're starting to dive into ready for Christmas with the gifts. Obviously, I was I ended up treating myself to this book at the weekend, so I'm in the process of gathering Star Wars goodies for my 2 girls. And obviously, we're getting closer to that season where there's going to be stuff to grab. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from different people, and hopefully soon I'll be able to bring you news of some of the goodies that I received for Christmas.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Although I do have to mention that I'm sat here modelling the rather gorgeous Ahsoka shirt that I received from Jedi News, and I am enjoying my goodies there.
Very nice, very nice. I'm trying to prepare. I'm going to Disneyland Paris at the first week of January. So obviously excited to ride Star Tours, get some Star Wars merch. Obviously they don't have like the big Star Wars land like they do in America. The Galaxy's Edge don't have that, but I'm just excited still. But what I have heard, 'cause I've been watching a lot of videos about Disneyland Paris sort of in the build up to going myself. It looks like, so obviously there's a big expansion getting built currently at Disneyland Paris. Like a big Frozen land and some other bits. And then there's meant to be like a sort of a smaller version of Galaxy's Edge getting built. But the artwork, the concept artwork, which was on display on some of the boards that block out the building work, like have been removed. The ones that featured the Star Wars bit. So rumor has it that maybe that's not going ahead now at Disneyland Paris, which would be such a shame. And there's been no comment either way. And people seem to be people who like Disneyland Paris and not in the know seem to think that they'll not come out and announce it's cancelled, but like it just won't happen. So it'd be such a shame if we didn't get that. Because I would love to go. And the idea was, I don't think we'll get the Millennium Falcon, but it would be like Poe's X-Wing would be in the land and things like that is the concept art are. So I don't know if you've been to Disneyland Paris before or any Disney parks at all, Jason, but I don't know what your thoughts are maybe us not getting a miniature Star Wars land, a miniature Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland Paris for the European fans.
I haven't. It's my dream of one day getting there. But no, I hope that something does happen, because it would be nice to have something similar to Galaxy's Edge in Europe, so to speak. There's a lot of stuff that that goes on there that I think if they had it somewhere in Europe, that it would be very popular and, would certainly prove to increase the footfall in Disneyland Paris. But obviously with, Disney as a company still going through a lot of adjustments and changes with the return of Bob Iger, and it wouldn't surprise me if that has been shelved, but I hope it hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be built when I was there anyway, because it's a few years away. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask some cast members when I go, just slip in a conversation and see if I can get any information out of them, if they do know what that is. Probably don't, but it's worth a try. But I'm excited to ride Star Tours, and I am excited to go to their version of Star Traders and get some Star Wars merch at the park. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I remember when I was probably about 15, 16, the last time I was at Disneyland Paris, and I really, really wanted a Mace Windu figure, and I couldn't find one at all in the UK at the time. But then went there, come off Star Tours, went straight into Star Tours, and there was a Mace Windu figure there. Obviously bought it straight away. So I've got fond memories of Disneyland Paris in regards to finding figures and merch that I really, really want. So I'm sure the Force will be with me again as I begin that search. Exciting times. But I think that brings us to the end of our Star Wars chat for this week. Jason, where can the people find you on social media?
Oh, it's as ever, and I'm going to remember, it's at Hondo Link.
It is indeed. And you can find me on social media on Twitter or X, and on Instagram at Geordie Jedi Pete. You can find the podcast on X or Twitter at Boars Star, and you can find the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Star Wars Podcast. Please check us out. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please just leave us a top review. It makes me and the guy smile for quite a long time. It only takes you a little minute, but it gives us smiles for hours, and it helps people find the show as well. If you listen on any other podcast application, there's a lot out there, and it has a rating system. Again, just leave us a little top review. Again, it makes us smile for hours, and it helps people find us. But may the Force be with you all. Hope everyone's getting their Christmas shopping in nice and early and getting all the lovely Star Wars goodies for their loved ones. May the Force be with you all. And remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.
Fearless Fred presents Mud 79, a fan-made Star Wars story, Season 2. The Empire stands on the verge of total defeat, its forces in tatters after a disastrous defeat at the hands of Separatist forces. The Imperial fortress of Camp Vibus has fallen. Spies have infiltrated High Command. Secessionist forces slaughter anyone friendly to the Empire. But the Mudders of Platoon 79 will not yield. They will not break, no matter the odds. For the Empire! But all is not lost. The arrival of a new commander brings hope for success. But with him comes a tighter grip, because failure is not an option.
The Emperor doesn't tolerate such gross incompetence, and neither do I.
The shattered remnants of Imperial might are rallied against a relentless enemy.
Know that the Emperor watches over us, that we are the instrument that brings his peace to the galaxy.
Experience the galaxy and join the Imperial forces as Solomon Kwai and the rest of the Mud Troopers march headlong towards a war they might not survive. Get down! Lead the way. Enlist today. Fearless Fred presents Mud 79, a fan-made Star Wars story. Season 2 is available for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.